Hello YouTube! Speed and action advance are two important mechanics in Star Rail the game unfortunately explains poorly, and a speed guide is something frequently requested in the channel Discord. The guides I've seen online get bogged down in spreadsheets and tables and in my opinion overcomplicate a topic that is actually fairly simple. So let's get started. In most turn-based games like Pokemon or SMT or chess, everybody gets the same number of turns, and the speed stat only decides the order in which you take those turns. Star Rail's system is relatively uncommon in that having a higher speed stat allows you to take more turns than slower units. It's easy to see why it would be helpful to get twice as many turns as the opponent. The turn order on the left is not just the turn order but also a timeline. It is a clock. But by default, there's no way to tell the time. The first thing you should do is go into the game settings and turn on the option to display action value. Action value, or AV for short, is the basic unit of time in Star Rail. You can think of it as seconds or minutes. And with the action value setting turned on, you can now see the number on the characters that tell you how much time until the character's action takes place. Here we can see that it is Fei Xiao's turn. Robin has just used her ultimate, so the other characters are at 0 action value, meaning that after Fei Xiao takes her turn, the other characters will act immediately. You can also see that Fei Xiao's next turn is an 88 action value. How is this number determined? 10,000 divided by the character's speed when they take that action is how much action value it will take the character to recover to be able to take their next action. That's it. That's the only calculation you need to know. We can check our speed in the game. For Fei Xiao it is 114, and plugging that into the calculator, 10,000 divided by 114 is 87 and change, which rounds up to 88 as displayed in the timeline. By the way, speed in this game does have decimals that it doesn't display. This also goes for speed subrolls. This is why 2 speed rolls is sometimes 4 speed, and other times it is 5 speed, because there are decimals in those rolls that the game is not showing. If you do ever need to see decimals for whatever reason, maybe you're speed tuning, you can load your character profile into a website called Fribbles, and you can see the exact speed there. Going back to the timeline, it doesn't only display the time until a character moves, but also the time until scheduled events go off. So, for example, Robin's ultimate creates an event with a speed of 90 that signals the ultimate's end. 10,000 divided by 90 is 111. And as expected, that's how far away it is in the timeline. The last thing to know is the timeline doesn't automatically display exactly how long you have until the end of the current cycle. And it may be ambiguous if it is close or still far away. You can click on the cycle event and the pop-out will display the action value until the end of this cycle. Now, why would you need to know all this information? This is where the second mechanic related to speed, action advancing, comes in. Many characters have action advancing as part of their kits, and the Von, Vac, and Eagle sets potentially give access to action advancing to everybody. Action advancing takes a percentage of the character's base action value required per turn, which we just calculated for Fei Xiao in the previous example, and moves up their turn by that percentage. So for example, from before we know that Fei Xiao needs 88 action value for her next turn. She's wearing the Eagle set, which advances her by 25%, a quarter of 88, or 22 AV. Advancing is important because it allows you to actively change the turn order in the timeline. So for example, here, Sparkle acts after Lance of Fury. If you know the boss mechanics, the Lance of Fury has war armor stacks that we want to destroy before it takes its turn to do a lot of toughness damage to it. Equipping Sparkle with Von Vac allows her to start in front of the boss, not after it, allowing us to advance Archer in front of the boss and break that war armor, so when the Lance takes its turn, it refreshes a new set of armor for us to break again. It's also necessary to know how much AV your action advances are moving your characters for situations like this. We know from before, Fei Xiao's Eagle set advances her 22 action value each time she ults. But here, her next turn is less than 22 AV away. If we use her ultimate right now, we will not get the full benefit of her action advance from Eagle. So it is better to wait for her to take her turn and then ult afterwards to advance after that. A more complicated example is this endgame. It's Sparkle's turn and we're trying to finish the stage inside the cycle. You may be tempted to action advance Archer, but Sparkle's action advance is only 50%. Without even looking at a calculator, we know that Archer's speed is around 100, so his regular action value per turn is 10,000 divided by 100 speed, which equals to 100 action value. A 50% action advance would only move him by 50 action value, which is not close enough to advance him back into the cycle. Huohuo, however, is close enough. The correct move here is to advance Huohuo to give her an extra turn to get the energy for her ult, which gives Archer enough energy for his ult, which kills the boss. Beyond changing turn order, action advance is also a powerful source of speed. If you wanted to give a support more speed, you could equip 2 sets that have 6% speed bonuses and get around 12 speed out of it. By the way, speed percent bonuses apply only to the base speed. They do not apply to the entire speed. So flat speed bonuses get added, and percentage bonuses from gear like light cones or abilities multiply the base speed. Anyway, instead of speed percent bonuses, you could instead equip Eagle, and in the worst case scenario, get a similar amount of effective speed as long as you can get an ult once every 3 turns. Most characters can do that, and the pace is common for characters like Hyacinth, Huohuo, or Fugue. However, Eagle is even better than that because getting an ult every 2 turns makes the advance from Eagle equivalent to 19 speed. A lot of supports can do this. Sunday, Saridra, Nihility, Silverwolf. And if you can manage an ult every turn, that speed boost goes up to a crazy 45 speed. Realistically, only Kafka, Morton X Blade, and Fei Xiao can achieve that, but that's only at 134 speed because as the character gets faster, which most supports will, the speed equivalent provided by Eagle actually increases. A 168 speed Kafka ulting every turn is getting an equivalent of 56 speed from Eagle. Eagle is very powerful, and whenever it's a set appropriate for a character, you should be looking to farm it for them. This brings us to the last topic, speed tuning. Speed tuning generally means getting characters to do a specific number of turns in a certain amount of action value. To explain this properly, we first have to talk about what a cycle even is in each of the different modes. All cycles are created equal, but some are more equal than others. In Memory of Chaos, the first cycle is 150 action value. Why 150? My guess is so that characters slower than 100 speed can still get at least 1 turn before the first cycle ends. After that, every cycle is 100 action value. When you beat a wave, the cycle that you are in resets. So if you beat the first wave in the first cycle, then the first cycle of the boss wave will also be 150 AV. If you beat the wave in the second cycle, meaning the first cycle that is 100 AV, then the first cycle of the boss wave is also going to be 100 AV. Pure Fiction, the first cycle is 150 AV and every cycle after that is 100 AV. If you beat the first wave while in the first cycle, the cycle clock does not reset. Apocalyptic Shadow is simple, you get 2000 AV to finish the stage, and the score is the AV remaining on the clock. Anomaly Arbitration, the first cycle is 300 AV, and every cycle after that is 100 AV. Knowing this, here are some common speed targets for your characters. 134 speed gets you 2 turns in the first wave of Memory of Chaos and 4 turns in the first wave of Anomaly Arbitration. 160 speed gets you 4 turns in the first 2 waves of MOC and 8 turns in the first 3 waves of Anomaly Arbitration. For most players, this is the best target speed for their supports. 168 speed gets you 3 turns in the first wave of MOC with 1 activation of Eagle and S5 Dance Dance Dance. 184 speed gets you 3 turns with 1 activation of Eagle or S5 Dance Dance Dance. And 200 speed gets you a turn every 50 AV, which slots nicely into all the modes. Only some characters can get there, Hyacinth, Cypher, Sparkle 999, but if you can, you should. That said, I personally only care about getting my supports over 160 speed and don't speed tune to the stage. The reason is because sometimes your characters will get slowed down by the enemies. Sometimes they will be action delayed by the enemies. Sometimes there will be action advanced by the enemies. And sometimes there will be action advanced by the stage itself. The point is, I don't want to be changing the speed tuning every single time. Speed tuning will get messed up. Take advantage of it when you can, just adapt and don't worry too much about it. What I do care about is speed tuning to the needs of the team. Let's take what we've covered so far and finish up by working through a practical example of speed tuning my follow-up team. The main speed tuning I really care about on this team is making sure I get 3 Phase Shout turns inside a Robin ult. We know from before that Robin's ult end event has a speed of 90, which translates to it ending after 111 AV. Phase Shout takes her first turn after being advanced by Robin, so she needs 2 more turns to get that 3 turns I want. How fast would Phase Shout need to be to do that? 111 divided by 2 is 55.55. This is the action value each one of those turns would need to be. 10,000 divided by 55.55 gives us the speed Phase Shout would need to be to do that, 180. That speed is impossible to achieve without completely destroying Phase Shout's damage. Fortunately, we have the Eagle set. What if we do 1 Eagle ult during the Robin ult? Eagle advances 1 turn by 0.25. So the 2 turns gets reduced to 1.75. 111 AV divided by 1.75 gives us 63 action value per turn inside the Robin ult, and 10,000 divided by 63 gives us the required speed to achieve that of 157.5. That's still too high for Phase Shout to reach, but it's not too high for Dan Heng. He gets around 1 ultimate per Robin ult, and so I do run him at 159 speed with Eagle to get him 3 turns. To demonstrate, we take the team into anomaly arbitration. Robin uses her ult with 263 AV remaining in the cycle. This is also Dan's first turn. 10,000 divided by 169 is 63 AV, and as calculated 63 AV later, Dan takes his second turn with 200 AV remaining in the clock. Then eventually he gets enough energy for his ult, which with Eagle advances him and gives him a final turn just before the Robin ult ends. Exactly as expected. Back to Phase Shout. 1 ult is not enough, but what if we ult twice? That reduces the 2 turn timer by 0.25 twice down to 1.5 turns. 111 AV for the Robin ult duration divided by 1.5 gives us 74, the action value of Phase Shout's turns. 10,000 divided by 74 gives us 135 speed. This number is very achievable with just speed boots, and that's actually what I used to do when my Phase Shout was E0. But my Phase Shout is now E2. She gets a lot of ult charge and can reliably get 3 ultimates inside 1 Robin ult, with my team at least. So the 2 turns we want get reduced by Eagle set 3 times, 0.25 each time, down to 1.25 turns. 111 AV divided by 1.25 is 88.88 action value per turn, and 10,000 divided by 88.88 AV translates to a speed of 112.5. Phase Shout's base speed is 112, which means E2 Phase Shout only needs 1 speed sub to put her over the required 112.5, since decimals do matter. To demonstrate, we go back into anomaly arbitration. Phase Shout gets advanced by Robin ult and takes her first turn with 263 AV remaining in the cycle, and then ults right away not to waste the charge. This advances her, so she takes her second turn 66 AV later with 197 AV remaining in the cycle. She then gets charges for 2 more ults, which she uses right away to land her right ahead of Robin's ult ending, giving her the 3rd turn, just as we calculated. For Robin, all of these actions generate enough energy that once she's out of her ult, she's usually able to just skill and get right back into the ult and start the rotation all over again. The only speed tuning I do for her really is I have her on Von Vac, so that despite being a relatively slow 133 speed, she can still start in front of the team. What about Ashvel? Well, he only gets 1 ult per Robin ult for me, so even with Eagle, he would need 167 speed to get an extra turn inside that Robin ult. That would sacrifice way too much damage, so I keep him at base speed with attack boots. The 8 speed that he has extra is just random speed subs on the best crit relics that I have available for him. Alright, let's wrap things up. I hope this was helpful. Subscribe and like, join the Discord, the link is in the description. If you have any questions, there's a community clinic channel in the Discord where you can ask anything. I'll see you in the next one.